life of a humble priest mysteriously changes. Suddenly, wealthy beyond words, he plunges into the occult in a dark world of secret societies and murder. The strange monuments he built in life and his cryptic final confession spark controversy to this day. In search of his secret, we travel to a bizarre church.
I'm in Rennes le Chateau, France, in one of the oddest churches in Europe, perhaps the world.
Boyd Rice is an author and researcher into the mystery of Rennes le Chateau.
At the end of the 19th century, there was a parish priest named Saunier who was redecorating his church here, and he made a discovery in this Visigothic pillar.
While working in the church, Saunier removed a crumbling piece of the altar, discovering a secret compartment that contained parchments.
Whatever Saunier discovered here was something very shocking.
It was something incredibly shattering to his own belief system as a man who had been raised a devout Catholic and trained in the priesthood.
And in those days, of course, they had to keep this information so secret because otherwise they would be killed.
Many experts believe that the papers contain shocking proof that Jesus Christ did not die on the cross, a notion blasphemous to most Christians. The young priest took his discovery to church authorities in Paris. When he returned, he said nothing of the parchments or their possible meaning. However, he began spending enormous amounts of money, the source of which was unknown.
Virtually overnight, he began living in a very kingly fashion. He spent millions of dollars building the buildings around here, redecorating the chapel.
It's my belief that he was paid off by the Catholic Church. The secret was so important that the Catholic Church actually paid a huge amount of money to keep him quiet.
Was Saunier blackmailing the church with information that could ultimately destroy it? According to some, his bizarre renovations of the church indicate that this may be true. The last of the Stations of the Cross shows the traditional image of Christ's body being put into the tomb. But there is a full moon in the painting, and the Gospels state that Christ was put into the tomb during the day.
And why does it depict this scene happening in the middle of the night? Is it that someone is spiriting Jesus' body out of the tomb because he, in fact, is not dead yet?
If Jesus Christ did not die on the cross, the key to what he did with the rest of his life lies in the figure of Mary Magdalene. She was a devoted follower of Christ, but some believe they may have had a more intimate relationship.
Many people believe that Mary Magdalene came here to the Languedoc region of France and had a dynasty of kings who were the offspring of Christ. These people became kings throughout Europe. They became monarchs of the world.
If his bloodline existed today, well, wouldn't that be the real authority, the real Christian church? So, presumably there would have been a rivalry between the two.
Some researchers believe that these descendants of Christ ruled Europe for 1,000 years, until the Catholic Church succeeded in a campaign to eliminate them from power. If the Catholic Church had purchased Saunier's silence about the line of kings descended from Christ, the priest's next renovation seems to be a calculated attempt to offend the church. According to Boyd Rice, this very strange statue beside the main altar projects the image of Christ as a father, holding his own baby, suggesting that this child was the beginning of his royal dynasty.
He knew that it was too much for people at that time to understand. He was playing a game where people in the future, with more open minds, could click into symbolism.
The secret that Saunier kept hidden seemed to undermine his faith. When we come back, Father Saunier plunges into the world of the occult.
Every world.
A French priest finds an ancient scroll hidden in this church. What was the shocking truth behind his discovery? Had Jesus Christ survived the crucifixion and fathered a royal dynasty? It seems that Father Béranger Saunier's discovery led him to lose his faith, and he began to deny his priestly vows by immersing himself in the occult.
If he found evidence that Jesus didn't die on the cross, or that he was married to Mary Magdalene and had children, you could see where this would rock his world. It could be he went through some sort of spiritual crisis, and these occult groups take advantage.
It is believed that Saunier is initiated into the occult group, and that soon after, he takes another critical step in his journey towards scandal and blasphemy.
He starts having a relationship, even though he's a priest, he starts having a probably sexual relationship with this opera singer named Emma Calvé, who was very, very famous at the time and also a member of these occult groups.
Saunier soon commissions bizarre renovations that may reflect Emma Calvé's influence and his involvement with the black arts. A grotesque demon with bulging eyes, devil horns, and a horrified expression is installed by Saunier to stand guard at the entrance of the church.
And he also inscribed in Latin over the entrance the Latin words for "this place is terrible," which seems an odd thing for a priest to put on the entrance of a church.
Some accounts indicate that Saunier's descent into decadence is rapid. He constructs the Via Betania, a lavish private residence where he enjoys frequent visits from the intoxicating Emma Calvé. She continues to weave her irresistible occult spell. Saunier's vow of chastity is now a memory. Saunier begins to host wild parties. It's here that Saunier possibly meets with the living descendants of Jesus Christ. Many believe that the occult societies were hiding and protecting these royal heirs as they waited for their chance to rule once again. The atmosphere around Rennes le Chateau begins to turn ominous. Father Antoine Gélis was one of Saunier's closest associates. Some believe that relations between the priests had become strained. On All Saints' Eve, November 1st, 1897, Father Gélis was reading in his room when he was attacked with an axe and brutally murdered. In a ritual practice common to those trained by the church, the assassin folded the dead priest's arms across his chest. A veil of suspicion fell over Saunier. The murder would remain unsolved. After the murder of Father Gélis, Saunier begins to spend more time alone, and he builds one of his last projects. On the edge of a cliff, he constructs the Tower of Magdalene. And it is in this tower on the 17th of January, 1917, that Saunier is paid a visit by two strangers. Hours later, he is found unconscious on the floor. Doctors called it a stroke. Oddly enough, the church housekeeper had ordered a coffin for him the week prior. Fearing that the end is near, Saunier asked that an old friend, Father Riviere, give him the last rites and hear his confession. Father Riviere was shocked at what was revealed and refused to grant his friend absolution. 2 days later, Father Béranger Saunier passes from the mortal realm and is later buried on the grounds at Rennes le Chateau.
What did Saunière confess on his deathbed that so horrified Father Rivière? Was it Saunière's blasphemous involvement with the occult? Did Saunière admit knowledge of the heinous and barbaric murder of fellow priest Antoine Gélis? Or did Saunière shake Father Rivière's faith by sharing the secret that led Saunière down his own dark path? When Béranger Saunière slipped into the deathly silence of the grave, he left no answers, only clues that continue to haunt many whom are in search of the mystery of Rennes le Chateau. Next